Greetings, everybody. This is Captain Mortgage, and this is Credit Thursdays with Captain Mortgage and our special guest, Mr. Devin Norcross. So, Mr. Devin, what are we going to be talking about today, man?
Uh, Two things I really like to cover today. One is I'd like to get some general automotive purchase, automotive refinance advice in your client's hands. And then I'd like to
Okay.
talk a little bit about how the process works to contesting negative accounts and really why someone should seek assistance if they are credit challenged.
Okay, great. Well, fire away. Where are you going to tell us about auto refinancing here, or auto financing in general?
Well, I'd like to give you what my opinion of is the best way to make sure you get the best possible financing and save the most amount of money when you're out there negotiating for cars. So the first thing to understand is a dealership is going to have front end profit and back end profit. And front end profit is what they make on the purchasing of the vehicle, the investment of that into that vehicle, and the selling of that vehicle. And the back end profits they're going to make on the financing of that vehicle and secondary products like gap insurance and long-term warranties, things of that nature. Oftentimes, dealerships are going to take a very minimal gain on the front end profit in order to consume the profit on the back end with the closing of the deal. And you mentioned having a little personal experience in this, right?
Yeah, my dad used to own a car lot, and honestly, he would jump for joy if he actually made any money on a new car when he sold it. Like
Mm-hmm.
on the front end side, he said he was usually selling at invoice, or he said usually a little bit under. But he said if they stood a chance at all on making any kind of money, had to be done in the finance room.
Right. Yeah, very common, especially with new cars. With the age of information now, with the sharing of information on the internet, it's not hard to find an invoice or a dealer's invoice price for most new vehicles. Very little profit is made on new vehicles. There's certainly a lot more made on used vehicles and trading in of vehicles. So let's look again at what I think is your best practice there. So the number one thing is identify the car you want to buy. Find the car you want to buy. Don't necessarily sit down and work numbers on it. Find the car you want to buy. Okay. Leave that dealership. Take that serial, that VIN number and that mileage, and find out, from a local credit union what you might be approved for. Now, there's one way you can do this even better. All right. Before you even go car shopping, you can go to myfico.com, sign up for their account services. Fair has its own website. It's $29 for one time or quarterly, or $39 monthly. I pay it every month. And you can look at your automotive FICO scores. Find out which bureau is the highest. So let's say your TransUnion is 30 or 40 points higher than your Equifax or Experian. Then call around to a couple local banks and credit unions. I really like credit unions for this, and see who can take a TransUnion credit score for an auto loan. Some banks and credit unions only use one bureau. Some can pull all three and take the highest one. But you certainly want to negotiate your financing off your highest score. It's not like a mortgage score where they're going to take the middle score and throw out the high and the low. With automotive, we can take the highest. So figure out where are you going to have the most power with your personal credit history. Once you identify that vehicle, the mileage, the VIN, take that information to that credit union and have them work you up a pre-approval. Then go back to that dealership, sit down and just say, hey, you know what? I'm going to finance here. I just want to get to a rock bottom number with you guys. Let's talk about what we can actually get this thing purchased for. When you have confidently whittled away that number to a value where you feel good about the deal, go back and sit with your finance manager, provide him your proof of finance, your pre-approval offer, and ask him, hey, can you beat this offer? If so, I'll finance with you. And I'll give you a tip or a hint. Sometimes the dealerships will get a better deal for you at the same bank than you were able to get for yourself. This happened to me. I bought a brand new vehicle, a brand new Ford, and I was pre-approved a credit union here in Denver called Blue Federal Credit Union. I bought multiple cars through them at an excellent interest rate. And the dealership was actually able to give me a 0.5 point lower interest rate through the same credit union. I couldn't tell you how. All right. I'm not going to speak on gap insurance and extended warranties and things like that. For some people, it's the right move. For some people, it's not. The most important thing I want to talk about purchasing vehicles: buy the car you want, see what you're pre-approved for elsewhere, and then see if the dealership can beat it. And the most important thing before you walk off that lot, before you sign papers, look at what you're buying the car for and then look at what the payment they're going to give you is, and then multiply that by the loan term. Okay, if it's $499 and you're doing a 5-month loan term, multiply 499 times 60. Okay, just subtract the value of your car from that, or the purchase price of your car, and you're going to see what you're going to pay in interest. It is not uncommon. In fact, let me give you a really common statistic. The average purchase price for a vehicle right now is $30,000. Now, if you take a 72-month loan, which a lot of my more credit challenge clients will need a little bit longer term loan, and you say an 18.9% interest is applied to that vehicle, if you're not rolling over any type of insurance, if you're not rolling over any type of registration fees or sales tax, you're just doing the financing of that vehicle alone, you're going to pay $27,000 in interest. Okay, that's for a $30,000 vehicle. That puts you at $57,000. Not to mention that you probably have several thousand that you're rolling into the financing of that vehicle, and you're paying interest rate over that term. Now, vice versa, you do the exact same loan with a 2.9% interest, and you pay about $2,700 in interest. Okay, so we're talking about a $24,000 difference. People I work with on a daily basis, they have no idea how hamstring they are by some of these auto notes they get into. And we also work with a couple national auto refinance brokers. So if you, as a lender, having trouble getting your clients approved from a debt to income ratio, or you're an individual with an interest rate really anything over 6%, or if you have good credit and you're anywhere near 6%, you really ought to give yourself a free consultation from a national auto refinance provider. I've got 3 of them out of Denver that I work with. They've got banks all over the country. So if this is something where you think, gee, I'd like to see if I could lower my payment by $150, $200, we'd love to look at that. And typically you don't make a payment for about 90 days when that happens. So while those banks are communicating and exchanging your loan.
That's awesome. That's good to know. Well, like I said, I probably need to get you in touch with some of my customers, because sometimes they got a little bit higher interest rates on some of their cars. So maybe you get us hooked up with some of those. So, all right. So what is our next topic we're going to talk about?
We'll talk about, it's something we touched on last week. What do you do when you have negative items? All right. So there's a law out there called the Fair Credit Reporting Act. It was written in 1978. It remains largely unchanged. And this is a cornerstone of one of our tactics in credit repair. We have a lot of resources we bring to the table to fix credit. But one of them is working with the credit bureaus to contest accounts. And most people have heard of this. Yes, there is a time limit with how long a creditor has to respond to. Unfortunately, when you go through, Credit Karma, or you go through the bureaus, most of the time you're doing what's called an electronic dispute. It's very limited. We see some success. Most of the time, things go into disputed status for a month or two. They come out. Largely, the file remains unchanged. So when we're looking at some of these negative items, we really want to have a good strategy in place. And some of these things we can update the data loss activity. Sometimes they can update balances and change interest and fees. Now, what we do is we do written investigations sent certified mail. We have an incredible strategy to get these items contested with a full investigation, where you actually have someone hands-on taking a look, reading the dispute, making an investigation, and formulating a decision from that. Most of the online stuff is just a digital confirmation. So if you go and you TransUnion, Experian, Equifax, and just click dispute, it's just a digital confirmation. The creditor's going to say, yes, we have that account. Yes, their name's tied to it. So it's really important that if someone is considering taking the very important step of fixing their credit, that they get some guidance and coaching through the process, or work with a professional. And I don't know how you value your time, but this can be a very time consumptive manner. And if you do it wrong, then you waste months at a time while the letters are going to and fro and sitting idly. So it is something we highly, highly recommend people allow us to assist in that program. We charge $109 a month for anyone's curious. It is a small monthly fee to make sure it gets done correctly. And we have a monitoring service we apply to your credit to make so we can immediately see when changes take place. And Chris, I know you've had a lot of success in this using this program.
Yes, yeah. And I will let you know, just as a personal testimonial here, I had to actually help a lady who came in the other day. She only had one item that needed disputed. And for whatever reason, she was like, oh, we can just take care of it. It's one item. We tried to do it through Credit Karma. Couldn't get into her Credit Karma account. So for whatever reason, couldn't get into Credit Karma. So I had to end up going to the myfreecreditreport.com site, got our free annual credit report, and then we tried to do a dispute from there. So ended up having to go 2 of her bureaus in order to file these disputes. Had to, I'd say, spent about an hour and a half doing this for her, and it was just a lot of work. And at the end of the day, I probably didn't even get anywhere with it because, as you just said, it probably just did a digital quick dispute, and they're probably like, "Oh yeah, we have this account." So now I'm gonna probably gonna waste 30 days before I even know if it probably didn't work, and nothing's gonna get done, and we're probably gonna have to end up get you involved and probably have to send some letters and things like that too. So I always do recommend. It's one of those things where it's going to cost you more money than you're going to save by saving the time and having it done right the first time, as compared to waiting 3 or 4 months to get something done that Devin could get taken care of in a month. So that's my own personal testimonial. And when it comes to things like this, I always suggest, hire a professional. He knows how to do it. Most of us only know enough just to be dangerous. So, that's my personal testimonial. So,
yeah. And thank you, Chris. Appreciate that. And there's a lot of strategies we bring. It's not just credit bureau disputes. We negotiate with creditors on clients' behalf. I settle a lot of debt. I settle credit cards and repos. We work with bankruptcy attorneys. We work with Fair Credit Reporting Act attorneys to litigate creditors in the bureaus when they're not making effective changes. That we provide documents to show that a judgment's been settled or released to a title company. We have just a ton of stuff we do. And I love working with your clients, and I'd like to meet anyone new that's considering taking the leap and getting their credit fixed.
Great. Awesome. Hey, just curiosity, whenever you end up making these calls with customers to some of these creditors and stuff like that, I'm sure the certain lingo, and you've got that confidence and things like that. Do you tend to see that you get more leeway or more negotiating on your part because you know what you're doing, as compared to the customer just calling up there, randomly and have no idea what they're doing?
Yeah, there's definitely an improvement on the numbers that I get for settlement offers and the amount of creditors I get to agree to delete than what most clients are able to do on their own. It has been a pretty outstanding success rate for a lot of these files. So it's not to say that I do anything a client can't do on their own. I'm not making that claim. It's just saying that 15 years of experience working with creditors in just this way, I've learned some tricks.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. Well, I really appreciate you being on the show tonight. I think we learned some things. Definitely, like I said, it seems like if you've ever had any credit hiccups at all, you probably got a high rate on a vehicle loan. So like I said, it's good to know that some of these people are out there. If you want to comment on this or whatever, maybe Devin can hook you up with some people that might be able to help lower your auto rates. But again, at the end of the day, like, so what is your time worth? And like I said, how soon are you wanting to get in position to buy? Because $109 a month, yeah, it's a lot of money, but is it worth 3 or 4 months wasting and not getting the thing that you're needing to do? Or say you eventually do get it taken off, but it's taking you 3 or 4 months as compared to 30 days where Debbie could have just gotten it taken care of. So that's my kind of last pitch. But anyway, just please comment on the video or whatever if you like it. And again, thank you so much, Devin, for being on the day. And I guess I'll see you next Thursday.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks, Chris.
All right. Thanks. Bye.